So I asked the Lord, Lord, how much money do I need to do your will? I'll just pray for that. And it led to an encounter that I had with an angel that was like a man. And if you'll stick with me, this story will blow your mind. It was an angel who was either Gabriel himself or an angel like Gabriel. And rather than tell you what I think, I'll let you decide. I'm just going to tell the story. But in order for you to understand how I ended up meeting this angel who was like a man and how I even knew that it was an angel, I've got to set the table a little bit, because this story began some years earlier when I'd asked the Lord, how much money do I need to do your will? And the reason I asked him that is because I came across a verse many, many years ago in 1 John where it says, if we ask anything according to God's will, we know that he's heard us. And if we know that he's heard us, then we know that we have that which we've asked for. This is why I've always believed that a very powerful prayer life will lead to answered prayers, because you'll know what to pray. You'll be so close to Jesus, you will know how to pray his will in any given circumstance. Oftentimes I've had people who, when I go to pray for them, they'll tell me what they want me to pray. And I say, I can't pray anything that the Lord's not asking me to pray. I'm doing my best just to only pray his words, because if I pray his words, then his words will come to pass. And so I figured, listen, I'll just pray in the Lord's will for my money. I didn't know it was going to lead to an encounter with an angel. So when I asked the Lord, how much money do I need to do your will? I thought maybe I'm working too hard. I think I was making about $65,000, $70,000 a year at the time. And I was a young man. And I thought maybe I'm working too hard. And the Lord wants me to live a little bit more simple and have more time to pray. So I said, Lord, how much money do I need to do your will? And he said to me, he said, for you, Scott, he said, you need $10 million a month. And so clearly I wasn't already making too much money, and it sounded outrageous to me as well. $10 million a month, what do I need that for? But nonetheless, I'm not God, and so I've learned just to trust what he says. So I began praying in $10 million a month. In fact, people would ask me what I need prayer for at a prayer meeting. And if you want to get the ire of the rest of the believers at a prayer meeting, let them know that you are praying in $10 million a month. And so if I was at the grocery store and somebody asked me, can I help you, sir? I would say, yeah, I need $10 million a month. Can you help me with that? And I did this very often for many years. I kept praying in $10 million a month, $10 million a month. So flash forward about, 5 or 6 years, and I had a project. It was an evangelism project, and I needed $10,000 like yesterday. And I had gotten all these signs from the Lord, precise signal graces, I call them, those divine coincidences that are clearly God. And all the signs were pointing to the money will be here any minute now. But it just kept waning. The money wasn't showing up. And so I became impatient, and I was in a time of prayer with the Lord, and I was whining a little bit to him about how I need this $10,000, and I've gotten all these signs, and why isn't it coming to me? And then the Lord kindly listened to me and gave me a new perspective, and I came out of the loathing and got back into praise and joy. And in that same prayer meeting, after I'd been complaining about needing that $10,000 for that project, I then said to the Lord, I said, Lord, I've been seeing a lot of visions lately, and I've been seeing angels. In fact, I saw an angel in a vision pick up this building. It was a particular local church, what they call a local church, a congregation. And I had seen this angel pick up the building, a congregation I was very familiar with. He picked up the building, and underneath the building was worms and snakes and creepy crawling things. And he picked up the building and he tossed it into the sea. And I said, Lord, I'm seeing these visions. I said, but what if I prophesy a judgment and actually Satan showed me the vision? But because you've made me like Samuel and my words will come to pass, I begin prophesying judgment on your people, and that's not what you want. I said, Lord, I want to meet an angel that's like a man. It's one thing to see something in a vision. It's another thing to meet someone like when Abraham had 3 men approach him and he could see them, touch them, hug them, feed them, eat with them. Lord, I want to meet an angel that's like a man. And when I prayed that prayer, I don't know how to explain it, but I knew God had heard me. Now, I'm not stupid. I understand that God is the sovereign of the universe. He clearly hears every prayer. But That's why I didn't understand fully 1 John for many years. Why does it say if we know that he hears us? Don't we know that he hears us? But it actually says that when we pray his will, we know that he hears us. And if we know that he hears us, we know that we have that which we've asked for. Well, something in me, I don't know how to explain it. I knew God had heard that prayer that I needed to meet an angel that was like a man. My spirit went, whoa, Lord, you heard that. And I knew I was going to meet an angel that was like a man. Now, it just happened to be that it was later on that night. I didn't know it would be so soon, but I remember vividly because it was a Friday night. That's the beginning of the Sabbath in Israel. The next day began with evening, and so I've been practicing that habit of considering evening time to be the next day. So it was a Friday night, which is a Sabbath night, the beginning of the Sabbath, and I went for a walk. And as I was on my walk, I noticed a homeless guy walking toward me. But my goodness, he looked exactly like who I would consider to be the poster boy for that local congregation where I had seen the angel pick up the building and toss it into the sea. Every congregation has one of those poster boys in your mind of what that people looks like. This guy was it. And he was a homeless looking version of the poster boy for that particular congregation. And as he walked toward me, I stopped him. I said, "Sir, is there anything I can do to help you? Is there anything you need?" And he looked at me and he said, "Yeah," he said, $10,000 would be nice. Now, I didn't even notice in the moment that he was saying he needed $10,000, and I had been complaining to the Lord earlier that day about needing $10,000 for my project. I didn't even notice that.
You're the one the angels cry out to. You're the one the elders cast their crowns before. You're the one the angels cry